Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church in Columbia, South Carolina, where we're part of the ELCA. I'm Pastor Gary Lodault. There's a strong tradition in Lutheran preaching to emphasize both law and gospel. The basic idea is that on hearing God's expectations of us and how we live, we realize our failure to be who we are supposed to be and that we deserve punishment. And then to answer that with announcing the gospel of grace, forgiveness, and God's love. It's designed as a movement that should happen within us. We are convicted, and then we are given grace. This week we are looking at what I have called Lutheran Voices, focusing on some of the other early people of the Reformation other than Luther. October 31st is Reformation Day, when Luther posted the 95 Theses and sparked the Reformation, and the movement involved others besides just him. Today our focus is on Martin Chemnitz, who has been called the second Martin. Chemnitz wasn't born until after the Reformation had begun, so really he belongs to the second generation of reformers. His father was a successful clothing merchant, but he died when Chemnitz was only 11, and after that his family struggled financially. His schooling initially went about as far as his limited resources could take him. He helped his family with their clothing business for a time, and then supported himself by being a teacher and collecting taxes on fish while he continued more classes. This led him finally to be able to continue his studies at Wittenberg, where he studied directly under Philip Melanchthon. Interestingly, he also studied under Martin Luther and heard Luther lecture, but in his autobiography he wrote that he did not pay Luther the attention he should have. Later, he moved to avoid a plague in the city he lived in. When Luther died, he moved to a city in East Prussia, now in Russia, and began to serve as the librarian for the university there. This was fortuitous because he suddenly had access to what was then considered one of the finest libraries in the world. For the first time, Chemnitz applied himself completely to theological study. He began his own course of study by carefully working through the Bible in the original languages of Hebrew and ancient Greek, with the goal of answering the questions that had previously puzzled him. When he felt ready to move on, he turned his attention to the early theologians of the church, whose writings he read slowly and carefully. Then he turned to current theological concerns, again reading slowly while painstakingly making copious notes. Eventually, Melanchthon invited him to come back to Wittenberg, and he joined the faculty there. He worked directly with Melanchthon and other theologians there, often collaborating on early Lutheran writings. In fact, the most basic Lutheran viewpoints are spelled out in a book called the Book of Concord, which might be another way to say, this is what we agree on. The book contains the Augsburg Confession, the apology to the Augsburg Confession, Luther's small and large catechisms, and more. One of the documents in the book is called the Formula of Concord, and Chemnitz was the chief author. It is a brief and concise description of the basics of the Lutheran faith. There are more than 60 published works by Chemnitz, all spelling out and spreading Luther's views. He was part of the second generation of reformers and an important part of continuing the Reformation movement after Luther. If Martin Chemnitz had not come along, Martin Luther would hardly have survived, goes a common saying concerning him. This week, we have learned about many early reformers that we may never have heard of before. Perhaps what was said about Chemnitz could be said of them all. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.